Formula E is about to start their second race of the doubleheader weekend. We'll preview the second race. NASCAR returns to Homestead Miami. Is there a favorite, or do we see a third first-time winner? Plus, World Rally Championship and Supercar Series update. All right here on Grid Live Pre-Race.
Welcome everyone to Grid Live Pre-Race. The chat room is open to share your questions, opinions, and your picks on who will win each of the races we're talking about. The pick winner scoreboard, we got one person on the scoreboard now. Kobe got a correct guess for the Supercar Series, so he is on the scoreboard. And of course, with me, as well as Kobe, we got Adam Lamorice, our Supercar expert. Kobe Lambeth from the podium finish. We have a lot to cover, and we'll get started with Formula E since their race is starting up very soon.
Yeah, and yesterday, Nick DeVries dominated the season opening race, topping all the sessions, practice, group qualifying, Super Pole in the race. However, today is going to be a different story for Mercedes and Venturi Racing, who will be coming from the back. Eduardo Montara had a scary crash at the end of free practice 3 when he experienced a massive brake failure. The car never slowed down to make the corner and went right into the runoff, head-on collision with the wall, which had Tech Pro covering to absorb energy. Thankfully, he was conscious and taken to a local hospital for further evaluation. Mercedes and Venturi were forced to sit out qualifying while an investigation took place. Since then, both teams have been cleared to race today after concerns with the Mercedes powertrain. Joe, how does something like this occur with electric vehicles?
One of the big concerns that they had originally was the thought that power from the electric motor was still delivering to the wheels, essentially not allowing the vehicle to slow down. If you saw the crash, you would see Montara never made the corner, just kept going full speed ahead to the Tech Pro. This is very similar to a crash Daniel Abt suffered in Mexico City a couple seasons ago, where he experienced nearly 20 Gs of force from that impact. So this is very scary in the aspect that this is new technology. This isn't something, say, a hung throttle, which we've seen in the past, especially in NASCAR, where you could have a mechanical change to prevent that from happening. This is something where with these new electric cars, they're, of course, pushing the limits of the technologies. And this is just one of those things where they investigate it, and thankfully, it seems like they're all clear to race safely today.
Also, Andre Lauderer didn't qualify, and he's going to be starting in the back. Only 19 drivers set a time, likely to be an action-packed race 2. And it was an action-packed race 1 yesterday with 2 safety car periods, 3 big names going out early. Alex Lynn, Sam Bird. Sam Bird tried to go to the outside of Lynn and then tried to cross him over to the inside. Lynn shut the door as both drivers crashed out of the race. And Max Gunther crashed out later on with a hard hit to the outside wall. All 3 of those drivers were in the top 10 when they crashed out and retired from the race. Which driver has a bigger hole to climb out of, or is it just too early in the season to be concerned?
When it comes to climbing out the hole, thankfully, because of the qualifying format, they all were starting up front for this race. So we see Robert Fringe, he's up front. Sam Bird, they're up front. They're looking really good already. I think they're going to have a really good race, but Max Gunther in 12th place, he's going to have a bigger hole to climb compared to everyone else. But you got to now say, especially starting way in the back for both Mercedes and Venturi, they got a big hole to climb as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a big hole for Venturi and Mercedes, especially Nick DeVries, who has absolutely dominated the weekend. It's going to be interesting to see if Nick DeVries can come from the back of the pack and try to sweep the weekend in Saudi Arabia. And another interesting fact, yesterday, the defending Formula E champion, Antonio Felix da Costa, right there, you see on the screen, finished 11th, did not finish in the points. So the Costa definitely has a little work to do to get back in the championship fight. But is this race 2 started in a little bit, and it's a long Formula E season, so definitely keep an eye on the defending champion Antonio Felix da Costa. And in race 1, there was plenty of beating and banging throughout the race. Mercedes have actually won the last 2 races in Formula E. Stoffel Van Dorn won the season finale last year in Berlin, final race of season 6, and Nick DeVries won yesterday. first race of season 7. Is Mercedes set to be the team up front week after week with DS Techeetah, kind of like we see Mercedes in Formula One?
It seems like it. I know Oliver Rowland had said he hopes that it's not the case that Mercedes just starts dominating Formula E. When it comes to Formula E, DS Techeetah has been the team to beat. However, Mercedes, especially towards the end of last year, they look really strong. I think they have a good chance of bringing the fight to DS Techeetah. Now, of course, today's race, that's going to be a different story where you got essentially the Cheetahs both starting in the top 10 and the Mercedes both starting towards the back of the pack. So it's going to be a really hard day for them. Let's see how they overcome this adversity. I think that could really dictate how the rest of the season goes for them.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be interesting to watch this race, see how good the DS Cheetahs are, and can the Mercedes fight through the field? It's definitely gonna be really interesting. And right now, cars are lined up on the grid as we speak, and it's almost time for lights out, and away we go for race 2 in Saudi Arabia. And we'll definitely provide any significant updates on the air as it happens. Now we'll go on to the NASCAR Cup Series from Homestead Miami Speedway.
And as we do bring updates on the air, we will display a little spoiler alert so that way if you want to mute us and not hear until you watch the race, we'll be sure to give you that advance notice. Now, for the first time since 1950, the first 2 races of the Cup Series produced 2 first-time winners. It's the 3rd time in the Cup Series history that has happened. Many are wondering if we'll see a 3rd first-time winner this weekend. Kobe, Adam, do you believe we'll see a 3rd first-time winner? Or are we going to see the 3rd different winner of the season? Or maybe a repeat winner like Christopher Bell or Michael McDowell?
Well, for me, Joe, I'm actually think we're gonna see a 3rd different winner and also a first time winner in the NASCAR Cup Series. And I'm gonna leave all of our viewers wondering who I'm gonna pick to win the Dixie Vodka 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway. I think a lot of people won't be shocked, but some people will be shocked considering this driver is gonna have to come from the back all the way through the field if he wants to win the race.
I think we will see another first time winner on Sunday, but it could be a winner that he hasn't won in a long time. I think it'll be a really good race. It's on a 1.5 mile track instead of the 2.5 mile track we've had in the road course at Daytona. It should be a really good race. You have a lot of great cars starting up front and a lot of great teams. So I've got my picks already, but I'm going to save it until the very end.
Definitely, of course, pick a winner. We're going to be seeing who each person picks. Now, when it comes to this race, I do think we're going to see the 3rd different winner of the year, but I think it's going to be a repeat winner. So definitely, I think that already gives a little bit of a clue of who my pick a winner pick is going to be. Now, of course, all the talk has been about potentially seeing another first-time winner. Here's what Chase Briscoe from this week's press conference had to say about his chances at Homestead.
Yeah, to me, Homestead is just the perfect racetrack. There's a lot of tire fall off. There's multiple grooves. You obviously run right on the fence. You can run the dead bottom. You can run the middle. It has a lot of options. It also changes a lot. It reminds me a lot of just dirt racing because I feel like literally every 5 to 10 laps, it's constantly changing what groove's a little bit better. If your car is a little too tight or a little too loose as a driver, you can just do a lot at Homestead to kind of change the balance. You can try different lines and kind of do different things with the car. It just is a really, really well-built racetrack. I wish we went there more than one time. It's just a great facility. And then just like I said, it's a great racetrack. It's really the perfect racetrack in my opinion.
Of course, when it comes to Chase Briscoe, he's one out of several drivers trying to get that first win. The highest starter without a Cup Series win in the race is Ryan Preece in 8th place. The second highest, Bubba Wallace, all the way down in 19th place starting. Of course, only 5 drivers have finished in the top 10 of both races so far. Ryan Preece, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, which has the only driver to be in the top -5 for both races. And Michael McDowell, considering we're coming to Homestead after 2 weeks at Daytona, are we anticipating Michael McDowell and Ryan Preece to fall down the finishing order or continue the top 10 finishing streak?
To me, it's called. This has been a year that I believe Michael McDowell and Ryan Preece will fall, and a lot of the top teams will start to make their way toward the front. They've had incredible starts to this NASCAR season, but I think those two will be in contention as the season goes along, especially when they go to Talladega, because at Talladega, we know anything can happen, will happen, and usually does happen. Those two are always up front at the restrictor plate tracks, so those two will probably be good at Talladega.
Yeah, I'm expecting Michael McDowell and Ryan Preece to fall down the running order quite a bit. And I mean, it was an incredible start to the season for Front Row Motorsports, winning the Great American Race. Michael McDowell. A lot of people didn't expect that to happen, and now they're in the playoffs, and they can work towards building towards the final 10 races of the season now and getting their program faster, getting more partners on board. And Ryan Preece, we all know he doesn't have a charter, doesn't have sponsorship for the full season right now. I think they're only scheduled to run 24 out of 36 races. So definitely if Ryan Preece can keep up this momentum, maybe they can secure sponsorship to run the entire season and finishing in the top 10 these first 2 races. That's going to be really huge for Ryan Preece, especially with the owners points things and NASCAR not having qualified. So if we have more than 40 cars, he'll definitely be locked into the show every single week. And as far as finishing position, I think it's certainly in the realm of possibility where we could see Michael McDowell and Ryan Preece still finish inside of the top 20 or just outside of it. So I think that's going to be realistic expectations for those 2 drivers moving forward as we get away from the super speedways and the road courses.
I have to agree. Seems like a unanimous where once we get to the 1.5-mile oval, that's where we're anticipating the teams that we expect up front to control the show. Michael McDowell, the smaller teams, Ryan Preece, they could still have a good run, probably top 15, maybe a top 10, just depending on how everything goes. We know late restarts, that's a big where you could gain positions if you stay out of trouble. This is only the second time we are racing the Homestead with no championship being awarded at the end of the race. Last year, Denny Hamlin earned a win. He'll be looking to start the year with 3 top 5 finishes. Kobe, while NASCAR is in Miami, nice weather there. In fact, taking a quick glance at the NASCAR weather, 80s is going to be really nice tomorrow. We got to talk about the Arctic Rally World Rally Championship.
Yes, definitely. You said it right there, Joe. Arctic is the key word. All the weather in Homestead Miami looks really nice, but if you're attending Arctic Rally Finland, you definitely need a lot of layers of clothing on. And the Arctic Rally of Finland is underway on the second day of racing. Ott Tonic has been up front since shakedown and after Friday's racing. At the end of the first day, he led teammate Thierry Neuville, the last race winner Sebastian Ogier, and defending series champion was 9th. Temperatures are as low as negative 29 degrees Celsius and negative 20 degrees below in Fahrenheit. So definitely extremely cold. How challenging is it to operate in these cold weather conditions?
It is very challenging. I've had my fair share of negative 20s, negative 30s. Coldest I've experienced was negative 50. That is hard on everything. The equipment, the tires, of course, when it's that cold, the rubber gets harder. Anything plastic, where sometimes you could bend a little, it could snap off. It becomes a big issue in these colder temperatures. The big thing, of course, along with the cold temperatures, the environment. They're in the Arctic. So that sun, it doesn't go all the way up. It goes to a level where it's still shining in your face. When it's clear, that means it's cold. So we had clear days over there when it was in the negative 20s. Now, looking at tomorrow's weather for the World Rally Championship, it gets above the freezing mark, 32 above. However, that makes it even more challenging because now you might have some fluids from the snow melting, water on the ground. That can make it a bit slick. You come across a cold patch and it froze over. Now you have ice. So this is really challenging for all the drivers. Of course, the teams, especially World Rally Championship, they prepare for the snow, cold rallies. But still, negative 20, that is a big test. Last thing you want is to go off and then have to step out of the vehicle, or worse, we've seen this time and time again, roll the vehicle, continue on with no windshield and that cold air hitting you in the face.
Oh man, I can't imagine what it's like for those teams to be racing in those conditions. For me personally, the coldest I've ever experienced was 2 degrees and with a wind chill of 10 below. So I can't imagine what it's like to be 20 below, like you mentioned, Joe, 50 below. That's just really crazy weather conditions to me in state 7. The top 10 shown was at the end of state 6. As stage 8 is today and 9 and 10 are tomorrow. Tonic is still leading as of now. This time Rovin Paris second. O'Shea has climbed up to 7, so not having a good day, and that was my pick of winner, so probably not going to be on the board there. Oliver Solberg and then 19-year-old son, Petter Solberg, in the top 10 as of now. He did spin near the end of stage 7, dropping 1 position. Do you see Tonic as the favorite to win the Arctic Rally?
I do see him being the favorite. That's sort of part of the reason why I picked him. Big thing, explore being from Estonia, growing up there, and then just having the experience in the snow. It's something else where one of the things they mentioned this during the World Rally Championship, when you come to snow driving, everybody knows slow down, take it easy. It's a very few drivers that know when the snow comes how to drive it hard, fast, being smooth and consistent. That's the big thing I've always told people when it comes to driving the snow. Of course, in the normal streets, slow down, but being smooth. Any sudden break, any sudden acceleration, you're going to lose control. Of course, they have extremely studded tires, tons of studs, but still, we even saw Oliver do a little spin, drop a position. At the end, on time, I think he got this race wrapped up unless some bad luck comes, like what happened in Monte Carlo.
Yeah, and tomorrow on Grid Live Wrap Up, we'll have full results from Arctic Rally, Formula E, NASCAR Cup Series, and Supercars. And before I move on to the next section, I want to give a quick update on Formula E Race 2. Robin Frange is still leading from pole with Sam Burt chasing him in second in the Jaguar, and Sergio Steady Camera in the Dragon Penske is in third with 35 minutes remaining to go in Race 2 in Saudi Arabia. And now with that said, let's recap the first race of Supercars and preview the second one later today.
Supercar racing, of course, is going to be really exciting. Late last night for the Pacific, early Saturday morning for the East Coast, we had the new season of the Australian Supercar Series kick off. Of course, we have Adam joining us, our supercar expert. Adam, we got a new sponsor, several new faces and new places. But when it comes to Mount Panorama, same face at Victory Lane. Shane Van Gisbergen takes home the win. Did Chaz Mostert had anything for him towards the closing stages of that race?
The answer to your question, Joe, is yes. Chaz Mostert was driving his heart out. As we all know, Mount Panorama Bathurst is a signature stop with the Bathurst 1000, and I believe if the race had between 5 and 10 more laps, Chaz Mostert would have found a way to get by Shane Van Gisbergen and claim race 1 of the 2021 Repco Supercars Championship at Mount Panorama Bathurst in New South Wales, Australia.
Yeah, Chaz Mostert was really coming last night on towards the end. I believe if he had a few more laps, he could have definitely taken the fight to Shane Van Gisbergen, and we might be talking about a different race 1 winner. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens later in the day in race 2. I definitely think that Chaz Mostert is one driver we'll have to keep an eye on.
Chaz Mostert was looking really good towards the closing stages at that race. One of the big things, of course, this race, replacing Adelaide not on the calendar this year. However, there was a welcome sight and sound at the track. the fans. Of course, reduced capacity still, but in Australia, they are now easing up on COVID restrictions. Some provinces even reporting 0 cases. How beneficial is it for the Supercar Series to have the fans, and what appears to be the first step towards a post-pandemic season?
Yes, it was a wonderful sight being able to see a large crowd at Bathurst for the opening race of the 2021 Australian Supercars season, and it was like a lot of people were saying, it was just amazing to see actual faces again of people where you could actually see their face, not behind the mask, and it just really looked like life before a pandemic, I guess, like 2019 and back. It was just like really surreal being able to see a glimpse of what we used to consider a normal world, and it's been such a while since we've seen a world like that. It's kind of become foreign, and Australia, they've really done a wonderful job making all of these sacrifices, having extremely strict restrictions. But yeah, but most of the people in the country bought in, and look what's happening now. Like I said, when you follow the rules, you get rewarded, and this is what's happening all throughout Australia. So fans can go back to the track. They don't have to worry about getting sick from the virus, and overall, just have a great time. And unfortunately, that's something we cannot do as a country here in the United States. It's really frustrating when you see countries like this willing to make the sacrifice as a whole, and and just have a great time afterwards. It reminds me of the time when I was in elementary school, and my teachers used to be like, you need to get this class average on the test, and you can have a pizza party. I believe I'm in my fifth grade class, and we averaged an 82 on a test, and we had a pizza party. So you just do what you're supposed to do. You can get rewarded. And speaking, and one last point, I know I've been rambling on here, but if you're looking at the financial aspect here, having fans back at the racetrack is going to be great for supercars moving forward. I mean, Formula One recently released a report saying they lost nearly $400 million because of the pandemic and racing behind closed doors last season.
It was awesome to see the fans at Matt Panorama back for the 2021 Repco Supercars Championship. I can say this: I have friends who were at the race yesterday, and I think it's a sign of things to come regarding overall in the motorsports industry. I mean, you're going to have, I believe, it was awesome. It was fantastic. I think this is the start that the fans all over the motorsports world have been waiting for. You know, not only in supercars, but I think you had fans at the Daytona 500. You had fans at the road course race in Daytona. I mean, it's great. Things are slowly getting back to normal. So hopefully by next year, all the stands will be filled. Everything will be back to normal as it can be.
Yeah, one of the big things with the fans back, of course, this is beneficial for all the tracks, the vendors at the track, all the people that sort of benefit from it. Just a good example, I know here in Portland, where we're based out of, the Grand Prix of Portland, the NTT IndyCar Series, that race alone brings $13 million to the Portland economy. So when you have Bathurst 1000 with no fans, Daytona 500 reduced capacity, that's dollars not being spent on local shops outside the racetrack, restaurants. So having the fans back, even though right now it's reduced capacity, very huge to have. And definitely we encourage everyone to, of course, try to do their part so that way we can all enjoy more racing together. When it comes to essentially the race, of course, Cam Waters was up front leading until unexpectedly he went in the garage area. Then Anton Lee Pascadelli hard hit with the wall on the hill. Both were out of there. And then later, the big heartbreak, Tim Slade was looking like a top 5 finish, but hard hit coming down the hill. How big of a challenge is it for the teams to repair the cars? Is there a backup vehicle added in the Supercar Series?
No, there's not really. I've seen over the years, as being a fan, that teams have spent a lot of hours in the night, to fix the cars and, for the next day's action. I think teams work really hard, to get, to get, it's nice to see this. The Supercar Series does not have any backup cars, and the teams work really hard to get, the cars ready for the next week's action. They'll go until maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning in Australia, to fix the cars, so they're like ready for the next day's action.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Of course, it's very different. A lot of times, especially, of course, in NASCAR Cup Series, we're familiar with backup vehicles just in case. I recall last year when we saw Scott McLaughlin, or excuse me, 2 years ago, Scott McLaughlin took that hard hit at the Gold Coast, didn't make the race. Just one of those deals. Of course, supercars, they're going to be racing later today. Is Shane the easy favorite to win, or do you think any other driver has a shot at winning the second race?
Yeah, I think Shane Van Gisbergen is hands down the favorite to win this race, but I'm also going to be watching the driver who was gaining significant time on there at the end of the race yesterday, Chaz Mostert. I think Chaz Mostert could definitely be his biggest challenger in race 2 at Bathurst.
To me, Shane Van Gisbergen is the driver to beat. He has won the last 2 races at the track, starting with the Bathurst 1000 last year and going, he ran race 1 earlier. Top 5, overall the top 10. I mean, you're going to have whole qualifying and the top 10 shootout, and it could, to me, I believe it'll be either Chas Mostert, Cam Waters, or I'll go say Shane's teammate Jamie Whincup has a shot to claim race 2 at Mount Panorama Bathurst.
Yeah, I know when it came to the race, I had picked Jamie Whincup for race 1 win. That turned out, of course, would definitely encourage everyone to stick around to the end when we share our pick of winners for race 2. Now, speaking about racing, of course, we still have more NASCAR coverage and, of course, Xfinity racing later today.
Yeah, before we get into that, quick Formula E update. Robin Frange is still holding the lead over Sam Bird. It's a 2.3 second lead with about 25 minutes plus 1 lap to go in the second race of the Saudi Arabia doubleheader. And now moving on to some more NASCAR. We don't have any Truck Series racing this weekend, but in the NASCAR Xfinity race gets underway in a few hours from now. The winner of the season opening race at Daytona, Austin Cindric, starts on the pole, trying to rebound from controversy last week when he made contact with AJ Allmendinger fighting for a Stage 1 victory on the Daytona road course. Finished second last weekend to 18-year-old Ty Gibbs with front nose damage. Wins second place to kick off the 2021 season. Do you see Cindric clicking off another strong result today or even a win?
I do. Austin Cindric, has a really great car under him. There's some, I believe you may see people like Harrison Burton or Jeb Burton have a really good shot to win. You have a lot of overall great talent in the Xfinity Series, and it should be a really great race to watch at Homestead Miami Speedway later on this afternoon.
Yes, and if I remember correctly, Austin Cindric had a really good car last year at Homestead Miami Speedway until he ran into some problems, took him out of contention. And it's been really amazing watching the development of Austin Cindric in the past few seasons. I remember Austin used to make a whole bunch of mistakes out on the racetrack and tear up some equipment. And now Austin is really starting to develop into such a talented all around driver. And Austin Cindric is no longer just a threat to win at the road courses. He's a threat to win everywhere now, whether it's going to be super speedways, the mile and a half short tracks. So I definitely think the future is going to be bright for Austin Cindric as he tries to win back-to-back Xfinity championships, and next year move into the NASCAR Cup Series full time with the Wood brothers and an iconic number 21 Ford Mustang replacing Matt DiBenedetto. After Austin's and after Austin Cindric on the current starting grid, we have 3 Jughead Racing Toyota Supers lined up behind the Team Penske Ford Mustang with Daniel Hemrick, Harrison Burton and Brandon Jones, Jet Burton, and Colic Racing round out the top 5. The fourth JGR Toyota Supra starts 13th with Ty Dillon back in the number 54. However, the driver starting in 21st will have a lot of eyes on him. Santino Ferrucci, who last raced for Delcorn Racing in the NTT IndyCar Series, will make his NASCAR debut today, driving the number 26 Toyota Supra for Sam Hunt Racing. Ferrucci has plenty of open wheel experience, but stock cars are a completely different animal. So far, he's been doing some simulator work to prepare, but nothing compares to having real life practice and qualifying sessions. Basically, he'll fire up the engine, take a few pace laps, green flag, and his NASCAR career begins without a single lap of experience in an Xfinity stock car. With that said, what type of performance should we expect from Santino Ferrucci in his Xfinity debut? A top 25, top 20, top 15, or top 10?
I think just to finish, would be an accomplishment for Ferrucci. I mean, it would be cool. If he had a top 15 finish, but for me, I think he'll be between 20th and 30th place. It's really cool to see someone like him competing in NASCAR. We've had a lot of drivers, make their way from the Formula Series over to NASCAR, like Juan Montoya, Tony Stewart, Dario Franchitti. So maybe, I know a lot of other drivers in other motorsport series watch NASCAR and they want to be involved. So for me, I think it'd be a top 20 to 30 finish would be really impressive for Santino Ferrucci in his first NASCAR start this afternoon at Homestead Miami Speedway.
You bring up a good point, Adam. Finishing the race, logging those laps, learning the car. It's going to be a little bit challenging in the Homestead. The one, though, the variable banking from the top to the bottom of the corners, that could really help him if the car's not handling, find another groove. The big thing, of course, if you do go to that high side, be careful. That wall, it could easily get you. We've seen it get the best racers that race up there. I think it's going to have, we have to agree with Adam, but between 21st to 30th place, that's where I think Santino's going to finish. If he could keep the car together, stay out of trouble, maybe a top 20, but I think respectively, he's looking at somewhere in the mid-20s.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Joe. Stock car racing is a different animal from open wheel, and we've seen time and time again some drivers from open wheel, like Tony Stewart, will come in and do an excellent job transitioning, and then other drivers, Dario Franchitti, when he came to NASCAR, it didn't really work out well. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Santino Ferrucci does in NASCAR, or if he's and I'm also wondering, is Santino Ferrucci committed to being a NASCAR driver full time, or is he going to be looking to go back to IndyCar or another open wheel racing series? And I do agree with you. I think today's going to be a big test session for Santino Ferrucci in trying to get experience, laps under his belt, and he gets more comfortable with the car. I think we'll definitely see him move forward. So I'm gonna go with maybe a top 25 finish, but as long as he completes all the laps and doesn't crash the car, I think that would be considered a successful Xfinity debut. And coverage of the Contender Boats 250 starts at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. To have a quick Formula E update, we're under a full course caution right now with the safety car, and we've also had a change for the lead with Sam Bird overtaking Robin Franz for the top spot as we approach 20 minutes remaining plus one lap. So definitely the Formula E race is going down to the wire. Of course, following the Xfinity Series will be the NASCAR Cup Series race. Several teams find themselves in early trouble in the points. William Byron, 29th, Tyler Reddick, 33rd, and Matt DiBenedetto, 37th. So definitely not a good start to the season for those drivers. How desperate are these three in need of a good finish, and who has the best chance?
These three, they are in dire need of a good finish. Right now, where they stand, 29th, 33rd, and 37th, that means not only are they just starting the back, if they don't get another good finish, they're going to be back the following week and every week. So they really need to start putting together some good finishes. I know Tyler Reddick mentioned in the NASCAR press conference the one disadvantage being so far back, it almost takes away a little bit of that aggression rather than going all out for the win. Now they're just talking about we need to get a good, solid finish, a top 10 finish. That'll be great. So it's really interesting. You would think, this will mean just go out there, go for the win. But considering how low they are, Tyler Reddick, they're looking at the big picture. We just need to go out there, have a good finish.
Yeah, Scott. I think William Byron, has William Byron. Among those drivers, I think it'd be William Byron. If you look at it, the number 24 car has always been successful in NASCAR, going back to when Jeff Gordon competed in the series. So I think for me, William Byron needs, to start gaining more spots and being in contention at each NASCAR race going forward.
Out of all of those three drivers, I think I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick, who has the best chance of getting the top finish out of those three. Looking at what Tyler Reddick did last year as a rookie, really impressive, and looking at his run to win those Xfinity championships at Homestead Miami Speedway, Tyler Reddick definitely loves Homestead Miami Speedway and ripping the fence, as they say. So definitely, I'd go with Tyler Reddick to have the best finish between him, William Byron, and Matt DiBenedetto. And the last segment I had about Formula E, I said that was a caution. It was because Jake Dennis got put in the wall by Pascal Wehrlein, and now Pascal Wehrlein is serving a drive-through penalty for that incident with Jake Dennis. So definitely not a good day for the BMW and Andretti squad. And yeah, just and also Porsche. I had to think for a second. I almost forgot which team Pascal Wehrlein drove for there. So and Formula E's closing on 15 minutes remaining, and Robin Franz has got around Sam Bird again for the leads, and it's definitely really intense up front in race 2. And on an interesting note, during this week's press conference, Tyler Reddick said he anticipates multiple drivers using the high line, as I mentioned, ripping the fence. We know Kyle Larson is a master here, but hasn't won yet at Homestead. It seems like Larson always gets up into the fence and damages the car, but we know Larson loves working the high line and trying to make it work. And this is his first time here with no championship on the line, so he doesn't have to worry about racing championship contenders or nothing like that. He can just put it out there and try to win like he almost did last week at the Daytona Road Course. And when he spun out trying to exit the infield onto the bank, and is Kyle Larson one of the top 3 favorites for tomorrow's race?
I do believe so, Kobe. I mean, Kyle Larson's coming back to NASCAR, having a very successful 2020 season on the dirt. He didn't have a lot of opportunities with Chip Ganassi Racing when he was there. So for Kyle Larson to come back in a really good car with Hendrick Motorsports, yeah, he has a shot to win tomorrow in Homestead, Miami.
I have to agree when it comes to Kyle Larson being one of the top 3 favorites. I know some folks will be thinking maybe not, still new with the team, still learning, but after what he showed last weekend, he could go up there towards the front. Daytona 500, he was up there towards the front. There's no reason why he can't go up there and be towards the front with his car at Homestead, a track he's really good at, and sealing the deal. And just a friendly reminder to all our viewers, be sure to comment in the chat room. We'll love to answer your questions, share your opinions on the air, and we thank all our viewers on YouTube, Twitch, and all our platforms.
Yeah, I definitely see Kyle Larson has been one of the top 3 favorites in the race. It's going to be interesting to see, can Kyle Larson win early on with this Hendrick Motorsports team. And over in the Formula E race, we have another lead change. Sam Bird got back around Robin Franz, and there's a little argy-bargy going on between DS Techeetah teammates as Antonio Felix da Costa and Jean-Eric Vert was racing for third, and da Costa ended up slamming into the side of Vert, but luckily both DS Techeetahs had an escape there, and so no harm, no foul. The race continues on with Sam Bird, Robin Franz, Jean-Eric Verg, and Antonio Felix da Costa in fourth. And Hendrick Motorsports had a disappointing effort at Daytona. The 500 saw Alex Bowman and William Byron in the lap 14 crash. Larson was caught up in the last lap wreck, and also at the Daytona Road Course as well, trying to go for the lead. Ended up spinning out, as I mentioned. Chase Elliott finished second, but in the road course, Chase ended up all in the grass and spun trying to get in. He was in a sandwich, I believe, and it was just a really rough day for Chase Elliott. Yeah, and ended up being a tough day on the road course. I mentioned Kyle Larson, William Byron as well, and Alex Bowman was able to get a top 10 in the number 48 Ally Financial Chevrolet. If we see a Gibbs Toyota win today, would Hendrick Motorsports feel a little bit behind the ball?
I do see a potential Gibbs victory placing a little bit more pressure on Hendrick Motorsports. The two of them, both four-car teams, both of them have one new teammate, Christopher Bell and Gibbs, Kyle Larson, and Hendrick. And already we've seen Christopher Bell go out there, earn a win at Daytona. They looked really good at Daytona, both teams. But at the road course, that's where the Gibbs car, they were looking good until bad luck for Truex. We know Kyle Busch had issues all race long, still managed to get into the top 10, but then fell towards the back. Not his race at all. I do see where there could be potential pressure for the Hendrick Motorsports that, look, Gibbs, the Super Toyota team, they got a second win if they were to go out there and win Homestead. If we don't get that win, we need to start figuring out what we need to do to step up our game.
Yeah, to me, Joe Gibbs has four really good drivers this year and really good teams, and we've known that Hendrick Motorsports is always on top. So I'm hoping that Hendrick Motorsports can find a way to at least have all the drivers finish in the top, either the top 5 or the top 10 at Homestead this week, tomorrow.
3 out of 4 Gibbs drivers have won at Homestead Miami Speedway in the NASCAR Cup Series. The only one who hasn't is Christopher Bell. This is his first race here with Joe Gibbs Racing. Can he do it? Now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Pick a Winner.
Pick a winner. Of course, as I mentioned, Kobe's on the board. I know we'll still be going through everyone's picks. There's a potential we may have a second pick on the board by the end of the day. When it comes to pick a winner, of course, Formula E, all of us had already submitted our picks since the race is ongoing right now. I know I had went ahead, made my picks on Twitter, as well as Adam, Kobe. So definitely, I think we'll see how the Formula E race turns out for our picks. But let's go to Supercars race number 2. Adam, who do you see winning the second race for the Supercar Series?
Well, I'll go with the driver who won race 1, Shane Van Gisbergen. I think he'll have a top 10 starting spot when they have the top 10 shootout later on. He had a really good car yesterday, and I mean it's hard. He's won the last 2 times at Mount Panorama and Bathurst, so I'm gonna say he'll sweep the action this weekend at Mount Panorama.
Yes, and I'm gonna go with the driver who was chasing down Shane Van Gisbergen, and I think it's gonna be Chaz Mostert winning race 2.
I'm gonna go with Adam, the supercar expert. I'm gonna go with Shane as well. And just to take a quick recap of the weather for tomorrow, it starts off sunny, some clouds, but the big thing, less chance of rain compared to what we saw yesterday. Now, of course, we have supercars. We also have tomorrow NASCAR Cup Series, Homestead Miami, Dixie Vodka 400. I know when it comes to the pick a winner, the person I'm seeing going to go out there and win, Christopher Bell in the number 20. I think he has the momentum. He has a great crew chief that knows how to win there at Homestead with all the pressure of the championship. I think he's going to show that, hey, he's the real deal. You're going to have to contend with him if you have any things about advancing into the playoffs.
Yeah, that would certainly be interesting to see 2 in a row for Christopher Bell. But I'm gonna go with our third different winner of 2021, and also our third first time winner. I think the driver from Richard Childress Racing, the number 8 Chevrolet, is going to win at Homestead Miami Speedway after such an impressive showing last year, and also during his Xfinity Championship run. I think Tyler Reddick is going to get win number 1.
Those are 2 really good picks, guys. But for me, I'm going to go with a driver who last year who conquered the action on the dirt, and he didn't have a lot of success at Chip Ganassi Racing. I'm going with Kyle Larson, driving the number 5 for Hendrick Motorsports. I think he's coming back to NASCAR. He has a really good team under him. And look out, because I think this will be the start of something really big for Hendrick Motorsports in 2021.
Definitely 3 good picks, I think, for all the series. Supercars, it's going to be really interesting to see how that turns out as well. And of course, as I mentioned, Formula E, we had already submitted our picks. I know I went with Sam Bird earlier. Then for World Rally Championship, I had gone with Tonic. Kobe, when it came to the Formula E and WRC, who do you have?
You said for race 2, I picked Nick DeFries. It doesn't really look like he's going to be in contention to win right now. He's running 14th as we speak under safety car, and with WRC, I picked Sebastian Ogier, not really having a great day, so I don't think my picks are going to do that well.
Yeah, for me, the Formula E, I went with Antonio Felix da Costa. I don't think he'll win, but in the World Rally Championship, I'm probably going to go with Autonic. He's in first place. I mean, it's in the snow. He has, like y'all said, he's from Estonia. And I think he'll be the driver to beat as we go on in the World Rally Championship.
He definitely looks like one of the drivers to beat this weekend. I'm going to encourage everyone, especially with the NASCAR race and the Supercars. Jerry, your pick a winner. You still have plenty of time. However, we're starting to run a little short on time right here.
Yeah, we're running short on time. Unfortunately, we're going to be off the air by the time this Formula E race ends. And one quick update, we have 5 minutes to go, plus 1 lap currently under the safety car after Sebastian Buemi came to a stop and I believe contact between Mitch Evans and the Jaguar and Max Gunther and the BMW Andretti. So definitely a lot of action going on right now in Formula E. You mentioned just 5 minutes to go. Plus 1 lap and run through the top 5 as we speak. Got Sam Bird is out front under safety car. Robin Fry second. 2 DS to Cheetahs, Jean-Eric Vergne, and then defending series champion Antonio Felix da Costa in fourth. And Nick Cassidy rounds out the top 5 right now as the Formula E race winds down. I'm not really sure if we're going to finish under the safety car or we're going to get a sprint to the finish, but definitely on tomorrow's Grid Live wrap up, we'll discuss the Formula E race too. Talk about all the highlights, major storylines, and all the other racing series as well this weekend. And this will take place 90 minutes following the conclusion of the NASCAR Cup Series race, the Dixie Vodka 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Grid Ranking for any programming changes, and we'll have a new Grid World Motorsport League stand-in on Monday. Wednesday, Grid tonight, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday, the Women Racing to Win, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Plus, check out our latest episode of Life on the Grid with motorsports journalist Daniel McFadden and music from Katie Jing. Be sure to invest in Grid Network. Visit our Patreon. Link is in the video description. Join Colin in keeping us on the air throughout the 2021 racing season. And a special thank you to all of our new subscribers on YouTube and followers on Twitter. Get your furry family member goodies from Pablo's, dog leashes, clothing, and accessories for dogs of all sizes. 10% of your purchase goes towards helping homeless, sick, and rescue dogs. It's definitely a great cause that we support here at Grid Network. For Joe Samniego, our Supercars expert Adam, I'm Cubby Lambert from the Podium Finish. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy all of the races.
Joe Samniego here. Want to invite you to go check out Pablo's. Pablo's is a dog clothing and accessory company based in Austria. 10% of each of your purchases goes to helping dogs in need, whether it's homeless, sick, or ill dogs. This is one of the reasons why we support it. Kiska here is a rescue dog from rural Alaska and our Grid office dog. We care about our furry buddies, and we know you do as well. Definitely check out pawbless.com. There's a link on the video description, and by clicking on that link, you get a 10% discount on your purchase as well.